that me again?
Yeah, that's you get.
Cool. All right, so one size does not fit all. You know, every art practice, every discipline has its own needs, has its own issues, has its own way of doing things. In this program, we really focus on like your specific things. How can these things, help your art practice? It's not just like a, hey, everyone should do this. You all should do it. This is the way to go. Whichever art discipline it is, it doesn't work like that because we all know that every art practice is totally different. It needs a different support from the next art practice. So this program really focuses on the things that you can do for your particular thing. Does that make sense?
One of the things that you really need to do is know where you're going. It's like, if you don't know where you're going, it's like getting in your car and starting to drive without a destination. You might take twice as long to get wherever you decide to go as you're in the car because you don't plan out what you're going to do in advance. So you really need to take stock of your art practice, what you want it to look like next year, 5 years, 10 years down the road, and plot out a direction for you. You don't have to do everything immediately. That's not how art works. Art is evolutionary. So you just take that first step along that one road that you have set about with your guiding star or whatever you want your art practice to look like, and you move forward.
Should we just stay out there together?
I guess so.
All right, so also, man, don't limit yourself. Personal situation. When I started pursuing dance on a very serious professional level, I was like, what if I thought about dance as entertainment versus just dance? Let me explore entertainment. And then from that idea, I started exploring, DJing and MCing because these are things that still feed into what I do. Like, I love music, I like talking, I like partying. Of course, I like dancing. All of those things come together and create, the art practice. So if I didn't really, just expand outside of dance, it would just be that one thing. Not saying it's not enough, just saying that there was other options that I kept my mind open to, and I do all the things. I love all the things equally. So I said it to tell you, like, what else can you expand on in your art practice to make you, a conglomerate of entertainment, of art, or whatever you do versus just that one narrow road, explore all options is one of the things that we want to focus on in art. I'm going to stay out here, I'm not going to go back. This is me again. All right, okay, cool. So another topic, and this is one of the more serious, everyone's locked in on this topic, is your portfolio career. Portfolio career pretty much, of course, how you make money and what different avenues you use to make money. Of course, these are the funnels. They go into a big barrel. So imagine this, they're catching rain, and the rain is money. You're making it rain. Yeah, whatever. There we go, the money, the drops of rain. It goes into the funnel, it goes into the barrel. The barrel is, your income. And that's one of the things that we kind of look at. We look at the artist portfolio, or you look at your own portfolio. You figure out how many streams of income do you have coming in to go into this one big barrel. Okay, cool. So we have a situation right here. Singer-songwriter right here. Amazing. Is he amazing? We don't know. Is he playing the guitar really good? We don't know. Is he posing for a picture? We don't know. What we do know is he's making music. I guess he's making music. There's a guitar case open. There's a sign up saying, maybe this is Instagram or whatever. He's dropping money in. Does he look successful? Do you think this is successful? Does anyone think this is successful?
Depends what you think success is.
Thank you. Depends what you think success is. This could be his dream, I just want to just sing to the people. If I make money, I make money. I'm cool with it. This could be like, it's like my after work thing, after school thing. I just love to sing in the rain, because I think the streets look a little glossy. Or it could be a movie scene, all the streets are glossy in movies. But you never know. It's success in art is based on what you think success in art is. Don't let the world put their success definition on what you do. Does that make any sense? But this could be an economic model. Like, This is him making money and him performing his art. He's getting paid for it. Is that successful? I say yes. You know, you came out, you did a thing, you got paid for it. Woo! Is it $1 million? We don't know what's in that case. I don't know. But that could be his dream or his goal. We never know. But it is a stream of income, you know. Okay, so we have another. She's not a singer-songwriter, I don't think so. Just a musician, all right? So is this successful? You know, based on what she looks like, seems like she's hired, you know, this is a job for her, you know. This looks like a symphony or orchestra, you know, she's playing a solo, she's a soloist. So there's a different kind of stream, there's a different scenario versus the guy on the street playing the guitar. Is she successful? Yes. Is the other guy successful? Yes, we don't know, but we just know that this is another stream of income. This is a musician's job, this is her job versus the other guy just kind of doing his own thing. So now you have maybe a hired musician, you know, with the job, and then you have the entrepreneur aspect of the artist on the street making his music. Both, I believe both of them successful based on what they want to do. They're both making income. She may have a salary, she may have the benefits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the other guy has what? He has the freedom. He can pop up whenever he wants to. Can she do it? She can't pop up whenever she wants to. She has a whole team to rely on her. So based on who you are and how you live your life, how you want to present your practice is based on the direction you go, especially with that roadmap. When you put that star and you want to figure out the direction you want to go, these are two scenarios to really look at. You know, do I want to have an art job or do I want to do it as an independent artist? And both of those things are right. You know, both of those things can create income, but it's based on the individual artist. Questions, comments, concerns? Okay, cool. You want to do this one?
So one of the things that a symphony musician is very susceptible to is a handstand season. Of course, before COVID, we never thought this was going to happen, but during COVID, a lot of symphony concerts were canceled, and thus the musicians didn't get paid. If that's what you got as your only source of income, then you have no income if that symphony job goes away. However, there's a different economic model for the portfolio here, which is what we're talking about. And that means you have a large range of different ways to bring in money. The musician economic model comes from cafe gigs and concerts and teaching and CD sales and society gigs and guitar sales and miscellaneous other things. If one of those goes away, there are still other funnels collecting money. You are not on unemployment line. So this was a big thing to happen during COVID because I don't perform, I don't get paid. And I had to diversify very quickly during COVID to make sure that I had money coming in, as I'm sure you all did. But it really hit the performing arts part. So this is not just something you can just kind of make your life easier. It might save your tuition money. It might help put food on your table when other performing artists or other artists don't have that economic resource. So this is, okay, so a visual artist would have an income stream with collectors and gallery sales and lectures and commissions and teaching and grants and workshops. So they're all focusing on the art of whatever they do, whether they're sculpture artists or painters, but they have various facets of their art practice funneling money into their one income.
That's me. All right, so this is me, and these are my sources of income. That's all of my business right now. It's all good. All right, so as of right now, I have 6 funnels. One is of my, I'm about to say bucket, barrel of water. So I have mentorships, commission, productions, artisting, grants, teaching, DJing, and emceeing. So this is important to me because, you know, if 2 of these are down, I still have the other 4. You know, if 3 of them are down, I have the other 2. If all of them are down, I still have 1 of these. You know, and based on my art practice, it's very seasonal. Very seasonal. So my busiest season is the fall. From September to January, booked. Don't call me for nothing. I'll call you. But you know, and then of course we go into January. January is extremely slow because people are coming off of Christmas and New Year's. And then comes the spring. You know, springtime, everything pops off again. And then really busy up until like June. Everyone goes where? On vacation. And then July, vacation. August, school starts. Then back to when? September again. So with me knowing all of this, I have to prepare, you know, I have to plan ahead, not just every day. So mentorships is a thing pretty much that happens all year. Art mentorships, you know, different programs all year. I can rely on that when it comes in, boom, great. Woo, yes. When it comes to commission productions, so I have, there are theaters that have certain seasons where they're producing the work. I submit, you know, a proposal. They love the proposal. They pay me for the proposal, and I produce the work. So these only happen in certain parts of the year. None of these happen during the summer. So again, this is fall and spring, if that makes any sense. Then we have Artist Inc. Artist Inc. happens when? Once a year, for 8 weeks. After that, we move on to the next thing. Grants. Now, grants, I write grants consistently. I write grants all year. And grants, to me, is a roll of dice. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you what? You don't. So to me, it's really like gambling. I just submit them. I just throw them out, and hopefully I get that email with congratulations on the first line. Versus like, thank you for applying. But I stop reading right there. Switch it out. But when the grants come in, it's great because now I have, you know, my ideas are funded now. Now I have strategically planned how I'm gonna, you know, fund the work, but also pay myself. So now I'm able to pay myself throughout the times where some of those funnels are not coming in. You know, in teaching, yes, I can get hired to teach, but I also can run my own classes. This is the thing that I do. I have a kind of a template when like during my down season, if I don't have anything popping off, just to keep my name in rotation, I will pop up with free classes. So the energy of me is still out there, you know, and then the more people hear your name, the more people start thinking about other things that you do, then the calls start coming in. So that's like that's my secret. I'm giving you all my secrets. It's my secret way of like free marketing, teaching you free classes. You know, and then of course DJ and MCing, those two are very heavy in the fall. Corporate parties, holiday parties, galas, all the things, and of course in the spring, everyone's in love. People want to get married, and then you know, summer is too hot to get married. We're in Texas, so yeah, so that's how my funnels work, and all of them come into this one barrel. The barrel, trust me, the bank account is not this big. You know, it's. I would love for the barrel to be this big. Maybe if we get a bigger funnel for artists, you know. Anyway, but yeah, that's a breakdown of the funnels. But also, it's a way for you to look at what you have coming in. Think about the things that you have coming in as well. Just like when I said earlier about like, hey, when I started thinking about dance, I thought about entertainment and other ways I can get paid through entertainment and not just the one thing. And this is a perfect example of all the things coming into the barrel.
So here are my funnels. We have the Fort Bend Symphony Orchestra, which is my main gig. Then we have Axline Great Communications. This came out of me doing social media and products for the associations that I was working for, and now I do for other small businesses. We have Artist Inc. I do a lot of grant reading, so I get paid for that as well. And also, there's a really thorough ground to see what other people are trying to do. And it gives me ideas. It also tightens down my grant writing skills because you can always tell them you would have done something differently in that grant application. I teach and lecture at various places. My most standard day is with the business like the grant reading and other things like that, and aspect grant communications, because I searched out ways to diversify my funds because COVID scared me so bad. So I was once of the thought that a conductor could not have a portfolio career because they only do one thing. And it's very expensive. You have to get 50 people in the room together, you have to pay them all. You know, it's very, very expensive for practice. But COVID and the threat of not being able to feed myself really engaged my brain in a different way and made me think outside the box for my own career. So if I can do it, you can do it. I promise. There are ways to engage your arts career in multiple funnels so that way you can support yourself. Think of a portfolio career as a table. Like you have multiple legs on the table, and if one of those legs goes away, it's a little wobbly, but it's still standing, right? So that's the safety of a portfolio career.
Tell us what you do.
Please take this one. I don't draw for this one.
So how is really hard. You're supposed to tell people what you're doing. You're supposed to tell everybody what you're doing. You're supposed to tell Instagram, you're supposed to tell your friends and family on Facebook, you're supposed to tell your grandma, you're supposed to tell your aunts, uncles, and cousins, you're supposed to tell people that you meet in networking situations what you do and what you want, what you're looking forward to, what your art practice is. This is, you use an elevator speech, which is about 60 seconds of details about yourself with a pitch at the end. Like, I'm always looking for collaboration. Oh, really? Well, I want to collaborate with the symphony orchestra. I think that would be cool. And then people will respond to that. But if you don't tell people, you might as well be working alone in your basement without any eyes on your projects. So I know it's uncomfortable to talk to people about your art practice, but it's something that you need to become better at so that way synergy can happen. You can have these collaborations that seem to come out of nowhere. And there are lots of ways to do it, like through social media and blogs and newsletters and things like that. But the first thing you need to tell is your friends and family. So if they don't know what you're doing or what's new on your docket, give them a call, FaceTime them if they're across the country. Tell them about what you're doing.
Ask for help.
There you go.
There we go. All right. Don't be afraid to ask for help like I just did. Always ask for help, especially in in your practice. I get it. Sometimes we live in these silos. Like I'm creating, I do the thing. I don't want to interrupt someone else's thing, or I don't want to steal my thing or whatever. That also puts you on the island. When you're by yourself. So when issues do arise, or resources arise, you're not there. I'm saying, to receive that or to even give. So always ask. Have a community, open up the forum, show up to things like this, show up to art shows, always be in a very networking mind state, but also have the boundaries and give yourself, schedule times for that because you can't exhaust yourself. But always, 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 guaranteed, always ask for the things that you do need. And we're all adults, so we kind of know how to ask when to ask. You can read the room, the resources are there. You just have to find them, You just have to find them. But it comes and goes, but it starts with who? You. By asking. Yes. Be prepared.
So, when you start talking about your art practice and asking people for help, is an art practice. It's something to show them. So you need current work, you need past work, you need, your artist statement, your CV, and your resume, and your bio, and photographs of your work, photographs of you working on your work. Because you never know when someone is going to go, in seconds. So you should have something ready to email out or a website that you can say, please go to my website. You can read all about me and have all the art right there that you can then text them the link to. But you have to have something ready to give people when they say, I want more of you. If you don't, then they'll just move on.
Raise your hand if you have work samples, like current work samples of what you do, your art practice. Yes, that is key, your work samples. Just in the past, I would say in the past few months, the amount of opportunities that has popped up, not for me, but just in different spaces I'm in, and all people want to look at now is like your work samples. What can you do? You sound great. The ideas you're explaining, amazing, beautiful. But you need to support that. Have you done something on that skill before? And that's what the work sample is so important for. I think all brands are asking for that now. All clinicians are asking for that now. Is a work sample. You can write an amazing proposal, but do you have something that you've done in the past that we can, rest our hats on to know that you're going to do a good job with the thing and they're giving you money for? So work samples are key, and that's with any art practice. That's with anything. Always document your things. When you're performing, or when you're producing, or when you have something, a showing, or whatever you do, always, I would say 100% of the time, you either hire a photographer or a videographer. And those things are for you. It's not for like social media, hey, look at me, look what I did. Yes, that's great, but you need documentation of what you do and how you do it. And also, who is showing up, Work samples. Start working on that yesterday. Cool. All right. Be a good egg. Woo, be a good person. This community is how big? This big. Real little. Small town, big city. Every artist, I guarantee you, knows an artist that knows an artist that knows you. So if your name is bad with this person, it's probably going to flood around to this person. And that person might be the person that's giving you, but you have to play fair, play fair. That's across the board, play fair. Of course, you're going to get along with everybody. Everyone's not your friend. Everyone doesn't love what you do. You don't love what everyone else does. But there's still a level of professionalism that you need to have when you're pursuing a art practice. There's still a professionalism. There's still a common courtesy, there's decency. Those values and those things need to come out in all transactions. Unless the bridge is that bad that you need to burn it, then that's on you. But have a good name across the city, because I guarantee your name will travel faster than your work does. And it's like marketing. When you think about Coca-Cola, that feeling that you pop up, the feeling that pops in your head, that's the same thing pops up in, when someone says your name. That's your brand. That's who you are. That's the experience that people are going to get from you. So just like you see big brands pop up all the time, your name is the exact same thing. It holds that much power as well. So whatever is attached to your name is going to be what people remember you by. So you have to be a good egg. You got to play fair. Be nice to the kids, After you, sure. The things. Be a good person.
So, one of the other things that's kind of like being prepared is an auxiliary idea of being prepared is the details matter. Someone is not going to take you seriously if you send them a proposal that has spelling mistakes in it. I turned down a major orchestra when I was reading grants because they did not follow the audiovisual guide, and thus I couldn't hear their orchestra, so their artistic merit score was 0. And it was a major orchestra. We're talking about a $10 million budget orchestra. The person who wrote the grant didn't follow the instructions, the easy instructions. I wrote the same grant. But because of that, they're not getting any funding from the state of Texas for 2 years. It happens. I should actually email them and recommend myself as a grant writer. But those details matter, because when the field is flooded with artists, of people who do similar work to you, it's really easy to try and find the
like everyone's art, it's okay, move on, but you can't force something on somebody. You can't force someone to show up to a show. I can't force any of y'all to come and support what I do. You know, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But keep in mind, your audience is out there. That is your job as an artist to find your audience. Your audience is out there. Your people are out there. And if your practice is only supported by your friends and family, that's not a sustainable business. To start off, yes, that's great, but it should keep going. You know, if you're only supported by your friends and family, it's time to branch out. You know, your audience is out there. Are they in Houston? You don't know. It could be in South Africa, Brazil. You know, but you won't know that until you actually do the work. You know, Instagram gives you all the numbers you need sometimes. MailChimp gives you numbers. Look at these numbers and see where your audience is at. And then you can strategically start marketing and pushing things to that group of people or to that region of the world. You know, but find your audience. Everyone doesn't love it, but there's someone that does love it. Focus on those people. Don't focus on the haters. They're going to hate regardless. Focus on the people that love you because they want more of you. That's where your energy should go, you know? So yeah.
So, along with being prepared and each of you have your things, you need to do the research. The opportunities that you want aren't going to come at your feet. You need to actually go out there and find the grants and make the connections. And, make sure you know what's going on in your art practice in your own city. That way, you can be ready to jump at those opportunities when they happen. So you really need to sit down and do the research. If you're looking for grants, you can go to the Houston Public Library. They have a great program that they subscribe to that has every grant in the country. And you can search it by keywords, and you can then grab like 10 grants and then go out to your heart's content and write grants to your heart's content. But if you're not doing the research, you wouldn't know those grants exist. So you need to actually engage with that aspect of your art practice. You should think of it as part of your art practice because it's furthering whatever you do. It's furthering your painting, it's furthering your sculpture, it's furthering your music practice to actually go out there and find opportunities. Once you consider that part of this global idea, part of your art practice, you won't feel bad about spending the time in research. You will then be able to go to sleep at night knowing I did X, Y, and Z in my art practice, and even if that was staying in the library all day, you did something for your art practice. Which is incredibly motivating. So do the research.
Cool. All right, so I think I spoke on this earlier. One of the most valuable things about this program is your peer network. Throughout 8 weeks, we get to know a lot of different people, not just your facilitators, the cohort, and then from the cohort, we're broken up into small groups. So not only are you meeting 30 plus people, and then you have a solid 8 that you see every week. You spend a lot of time together. You hear different stories. You know what I'm saying? You bounce ideas off each other, and those people don't just drop off after 8 weeks. It's hard to build a relationship and then just break it like that. These people become like your peer, network. These are the shows that you go to. Now you have a community. People like these people are coming to your shows. Resources. Hey, I need this and this and this for a show. I might need a DJ. I call Vinny Strusen, I met Vinny Strusen through what? Artist Inc. All these things, all these pieces of your puzzle start coming together through your peer network. And this is just one peer network. This is just one. There's more out there. The more you put yourself out there, the more you tell people about who you are, what you do, opening up your mouth, speaking up, representing yourself, those networks start growing and growing and growing. And then pretty much you have an audience, you have what you need. Anything, anything's possible in the midst of that. But it starts off with connection. You have to make connection. Be open to experiences. And then it kind of supports being a good egg, being a good person. You get hurt, it's fine, grace. All right? But you can't close yourself off, especially if you have a art practice that requires, an audience. And you rely on yourselves. Or if you don't have that, that's not your person. some artists like that. They have people to speak for them. You know, they have people to produce their shows. All you gotta do is show up, you know, do one of the things, bow, and then leave, go back home to your little show, and then let them speak for you. But you have to get the word out, you know what I'm saying? You have to connect, you have to build a network, you have to do all the things, you know, to sustain, you know, that goal or whatever your success is in your art practice.
The one thing that you cannot do if you want a successful art practice is doing nothing. That includes making art in your basement and not showing anybody. That includes writing songs in your bedroom and never playing them for anyone. If you do nothing, you will become nothing. So you need to take the tools that we've given you today and use them in your life and in your art practice to do something with your art practice and grow that art practice. You just can't do that.
Consider this, you know, consider your art a small business. You have to consider like the entrepreneurial side of your art practice, you know, because that's what you really are. When you're selling, you're a small business. So by doing nothing, you know, nothing comes in. You know, there's no energy going out, there's no energy coming in. So consider that. Cool. All right, I'm gonna read a script. You know, it's called "Pushing the Flywheel." I don't have it memorized. Story time, Mr. Chris. All right, it's called "Pushing the Flywheel." Picture a huge heavy flywheel. It's a massive metal disc mounted on an axle. It weighs about 25 tons. The flywheel is your career. Your job is to get that flywheel to move as fast as possible because momentum, mass times velocity, is what will generate results over time. To get it moving, you make a tremendous effort. You push with all your might, and finally you get the flywheel an inch forward. After 2 or 3 days of sustained effort, you get the flywheel to complete one entire turn. You keep pushing and the flywheel begins to move a bit faster. It takes a lot of work, but at last, the flywheel makes a second rotation. You keep pushing steadily. It makes 3 turns, 4 turns, 5, now 6. With each turn, it moves faster. And then at some point, you can't say exactly when, you break through. The momentum of the heavy flywheel kicks in your favor. It spins faster and faster with its own weight propelling it. You aren't pushing any harder, but the flywheel is accelerating. It's momentum building, and the speed increases. That flywheel is, of course, your practice. You push as hard as you possibly can, hoping to gain momentum. Then the momentum starts coming slowly. When you stop pushing, you gotta keep it going until it can sustain the speed of your push by itself. Once it's pushing by itself, the speed is continuously going and it sustains itself. Teach me. All right? So yes, that's your career. This is a crash course of what we focus on in the 8 weeks. It's not designed just like this. People coming to you and screaming at you for 3 hours straight. It's not school at all. I guarantee you. I wouldn't be in school. But this is a program where we really strategically focus on, you know, the business aspect. You have the art aspect. For you to show up already is success. You want to get to the next level. This is the next level. All right? This is an investment of time and maybe finances, but I guarantee you, coming out of this program, you'll be a step ahead of the next person who chooses not to learn this aspect of the art. You know, this is a flywheel. You got to keep pushing. It starts down, pushing that thing up the hill until it gains momentum, and now it's taking care of you, and you can just walk into our show and do this, and then walk out, and someone call you and say, you made 100 million tonight. Yeah. Thank you, Marcy. So yes. Woo!
Okay.